So what is a wild deed anyway? This is Dave at TitleSearch.com. Today we're going to be talking about the subject of a wild deed in terms of a real estate title search or real estate title records. If you do title searches long enough, occasionally or eventually you run across what's known as a wild deed. And what that is something that's recorded as a deed of transfer from John Smith to Mary Jones, but where either one or usually both of the names don't connect to anything else in the chain. For example, if I owned a property and sold it to you and then you sold it to somebody else, all of a sudden there's this deed recorded that has two names on it that don't show up anywhere else. It's like Bob Jones sells it to Mary Smith, but there's no record to any of those people. Usually there's a couple common reasons why this happens. It may be that a prior deed wasn't recorded, putting a property into Bob Jones' name. So if I sold a property to you and then you sold it to Bob Jones, but that never happened, that was never recorded, there's going to be a deed from him to somebody else that just doesn't seem like it belongs. And that connecting of that chain of title is going to be broken, or there'll be an extra deed that won't match up with a grantor and a grantee. Another reason might be that there was a name change. If I change my name to Bob Jones but never put that in the records, when I sign it over as Bob Jones, it's not going to matter whether or not my name is different from that, because nobody will know that. There may be heirship interest, meaning that I may have become deceased and my descendants took the property and sold it, and there's no record of me selling it to anybody else. It just magically was put into somebody else's name and they didn't take the time to record the transfer from me to them. Wild deeds create a problem for a title search because you have to show that connection of what that title transfer is doing there. If you look long enough as a professional title examiner, you'll normally find the reason and that connection. So when that shows up on a title search, it may require additional title researching, it may require title forensics, it may require more in-depth detailed search to find out where that deed came from and why those names are showing up. In some cases it might just simply be that that deed doesn't go with that property, that the legal description is incorrect. But either way, when we discover a wild deed or come across one, our next recommendation would be to find out what the reason for it is. Does it affect the property? Is it a cloud on title? Sometimes it creates a cloud on title that has to be cleared off by going in depth and finding out where that wild deed came from, or maybe even a quiet title process. Unless a good search can find that connection, you may have to go through that quiet title process, which is really expensive. So that's why it's important to look long and hard to find out where that deed came from. So a wild deed is not really that common, but when it happens, it can create issues for both the title search and also for ownership of the property. If you do have other questions, feel free to give us a call. You can reach us through our website at TitleSearch.com. There's probably a link below this video you can click on to get there very, very quickly. If you know somebody who would benefit from this video, definitely pass it along to them. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one.